No, I gotta call Mike.
They sell stuff. Yeah, this is one. They sit out front.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order a City Council workshop meeting, September 3rd, 2014, approximately 6:50. Our reason for the workshop is to interview board applicants. We have two tonight. First, I'd like to have up Martha Kirby. Martha, the seat's here for you. Thank you. Martha, since we all know you, but I'll go through the process, you're more than welcome to tell us anything you would like to about yourself. I just want to say thank you for getting re-involved.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to serve the city. I printed up a partial resume and gave it to you. It doesn't include all the things I do, but it does have some of them. And so the list was a little bit, I didn't want to print up that much paper and waste that much ink. So I just picked out some of the highlights. I have served on, I'm applying today for the Code Enforcement Board. I have served with that board before when I was on the City Council, and I served as the board liaison. And I have, before I was a City Councilwoman, I also served on other boards. I served on the CRAC Committee, and then I served on the Library Board and various ones, and then I've also served on county boards. So I'm quite familiar with the workings of the quasi-judicial Code Enforcement Board, so I'm ready to assist in any way I can. So if you have any questions for me, I'm ready.
Thank you. Council, questions for Martha?
I would just say thank you for this extensive resume, and I know you very well, and I know that you will apply yourself diligently on any board that you're appointed to, so I'm glad to have you back.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Just one question, Martha. Presently, you're serving on an advisory committee that you were appointed to by the commission, the county commission?
That is correct. It's for the under the tourism board, and it's for the Beach Renourishment and Redevelopment Board under the Space Coast TDC.
Okay, thank you.
No, I know Martha very well, so no. Thank you for volunteering and stepping up to continue to serve our city.
Well, I'm just glad to be able to step, so there we go.
Yes, and you're stepping pretty good.
Thank you, Martha. Did Dee know you use this much paper?
Well, she was in the other room.
Thank you.
She was in the other room.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
The answer to that is no.
Yeah, I kind of figured that out. Thank you. At this time, Michael Roses, please. Thank you. Michael, please, the same seat would be fine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the process, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about.
Certainly. My name is Mike Roses. Moved from Vero Beach to Satellite Beach in April of this year with my wife Sharon, who's accompanying me tonight. I am a retired federal law enforcement officer, 30-plus years. Retired May of 2010. Some of my accomplishments back then, I was a senior field manager. I retired as the field office director for the Department of Homeland Security, Immigration Customs Enforcement, Florida, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Managed 1,800 law enforcement officers and a budget of $125 million operating budget. I volunteer. I'd like to volunteer to assist the city. I try to do any kind of service, continued public service, wherever I live. So far, I've been mainly involved with Veterans Affairs. I am a Vietnam veteran, so I do work with those various groups. And I'm looking to give back to where I live, basically, is to help out.
Thank you very much. Who would like to start?
I would assume that you've had positions where you've had to enforce codes or regulations or laws.
Absolutely. Statutes, regulations, policies, procedures, everything under the sun.
And you applied for the Code Enforcement Board,
Yes, I did.
and we do have 2 vacancies on that board. And just judging from your background, I think you'd probably be well suited for that board. You said you came here from Vero Beach?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was at the retirement board meeting when Mike interviewed there also, so I'm familiar with Mike, know what he's capable of doing and know what he's willing to do for our city, and I also know that he's volunteered with our COP department there as a volunteer too, so.
Still
he's
in training. Still
right
in
now.
training.
So I have nothing.
Thank you.
I've had a chance to talk with Mike and your wife. Welcome to Satellite Beach. Glad you guys are here, and I think you'd make an excellent addition to the board that you're requesting to be placed on. So thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Welcome, and I can't see your wife. Hello over there.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. The way this works is there's an agenda item towards the end of the meeting that we'll vote on. You're more than welcome to stay for the meeting if you'd like. Any further business before board? Hearing none, the workshop's closed. We'll start council in approximately 5 minutes. Good evening. I'd like to call to order a regular city council meeting of the city of Satellite Beach, September 3rd, 2014, approximately 7:05. Please join Councilwoman Dean for a moment of silence and the pledge.
Moment of silence, please. The pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item 3, citizens' comments. This is for non-agenda items. The floor is now open. Hearing none. Close citizens' comments. City council comments. Who would like to start?
I would just like to say kudos to Carrie Stoms and the rest of her staff for that fabulous 2014 fall activity brochure. It's really astounding how much your department offers when you think of the size of the city. That's good job.
And with that being said, the 5K walk is coming up, so, a lot of us did that last year, so I would hope that we'll all get out there and do the 5K walk this year, too. But I echo Lorraine's comments. You guys do a great job. Let's see, I attended the retirement board meeting on the 28th, and I also attended the Amendment 1 meeting that Senator Bob Graham was at FIT, and it was pretty interesting. Amendment 1 proposes, and I'm sure most of you are aware of this, but it proposes no new tax. It's basically taking 32% of the existing dock stamps that are out there and preserving that money to buy property, to protect our drinking water, to buy beach accesses, to protect our springs. And that night was pretty enlightening, just listening to some of the comments that were made. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Councilman Dean?
No comment, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, sir. We had the town hall meeting on the 28th, had a reasonably good turnout, lasted for about 40 minutes. On September 10th, the Department of Health and the Department of Elder Affairs will be conducting a webcast. I'm going to be participating in that at FSU up in Tallahassee. It'll be, I think it's on at 10 o'clock, but it's posted on their website if anybody is interested in that. And on September 17th, I'm going to miss my first council meeting ever. I mean, all these years, never missed one, but I've got to go to Oklahoma for some training, so I will not be here at the 17th council meeting. I've done pretty good up until now. So, all right, that's all I had, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. The only thing I have is tomorrow is the workshop on the lagoon, starting at 8 in the morning. who's interested, they'll be here. And Courtney, thank you for putting it together. Looks like it'll be very interesting, a lot of good speakers at it. And that's all I have. Moving on to agenda item 5, City Manager's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. I did want to remind everyone to participate in the Florida Coastal Cleanup on September 20th from 8 to noon. That event is sponsored by the Ocean Conservancy and Keep Our Beautiful, and they'll provide trash bags, gloves, data cards, pencils, and sunscreen. So they're asking you to just bring your drinking water and come out and help out for that event. I did want to report that the Space Coast League of Cities, we've been working really hard on first responder funds. We did have a presentation in front of the County Commission scheduled for August 26th. And quite frankly, it was like the night before when we decided to cancel that presentation, largely because we felt that we really needed to work out some policy issues with the county manager on the county manager level prior to moving forward to making presentation in front of the County Commission. And that was really to, we wanted to make sure that we kept the conversation cordial and not a big, argument. So we went ahead and canceled that. And so we're going to be working through the Space Coast League of Cities and the county manager's office to try to get some of those issues resolved. I did want to report that we did reach a settlement agreement with the Section 7051 Florida statute hearing with Michael Sheraldinen. That recommended mediation agreement will be presented to the Code Board for them to consider on September 9th, 2014 at a special meeting that we're scheduled for that particular purpose. And that is all I have for this evening, and I have no action items.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor.
Questions to the City Manager?
I want to address this mediation agreement. I'm very troubled by this. What it does, it puts the city in the position of petitioning two supposedly independent quasi-judicial boards, the Code Enforcement Board and the Board of Adjustment. For the Code Enforcement Board, the city will present them with a proposed order and ask them to approve it. For the Board of Adjustment, the city will be requesting a variance on behalf of the petitioners for something that the rules of that board prohibit them from doing. The application that the city would have to fill out and to apply for the variance even says, a variance cannot be granted if said circumstance is the result of applicant's actions, including failure by the applicant or any previous owner of the property to obtain any required permit. And the checklist that the Board of Adjustment is required to adhere to states to grant a variance, all of the following criteria must be met. And the first one is the special circumstance exists regarding the property which is not the result of the applicant's actions, including failure by the applicant or any previous owner of the property to obtain any required permit. So the city is put in the position of going to the Board of Adjustment and requesting a variance that they properly cannot grant. That troubles me. There also is no provision in this agreement for what will occur if the variance is disapproved. And that tells me that all the parties just had a common knowledge that the variance would be granted. I know that the city doesn't have a role to play in this agreement, but this is setting a very bad precedent. We either enforce the code for everyone or we enforce it for no one. This will be seen as giving a special consideration to a council member. That is utterly inappropriate. The Code Enforcement Board meeting is scheduled for September 9th, and the Board of Adjustment meeting is scheduled for October 6th. At the very least, I'm asking the city manager to at the beginning of each of those hearings before each of those boards to make it very clear to that board that they are expected to use their independent judgment to reach their decision, and that this application from the city is not intended as a directive for them to do what it appears the city is telling them to do. I think it is crucial that those boards understand that they retain their independence. That's what they're there for, and that's my request.
Thank you. Further comments on city manager's report? Okay. Hearing none, thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 6, FY 2014-2015 budget. It's time to open up a public hearing on the proposed FY 2014-2015 budget. Courtney?
Thank you, Mayor. We are presenting this evening, we're just going to go over some of the minor changes that have occurred between the proposed budget submittal and the budget that we're presenting to you now, the largest change being the change in your stormwater rate that you did at your last meeting, which would raise the rate to $104 per ERU, or $104 per equivalent residential unit. So I'm going to hand it over to Andy to go through those changes with you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There was a corrected resolution, ordinance 1095, as far as the language. It was just a mistake there as far as it was not an increase in the millage rate, and it did word that way. So you do have the corrected ordinance. The contents is the same. It sets the millage rate at 8.3206. As the city manager said, really the only change was the increase in the stormwater fees shown in the budget from the 85 to the 104. Basically what we did was we were able to fully fund the cost of the maintenance into the general fund, as well as apply $62,000 in 1450 for stormwater maintenance for those issues that Alan says he has with pipes and the actual maintenance of the existing facility. So there'll be a pretty large amount of money there for him to get to work on some of those areas where he hasn't had the funds to do that in the past. So you'll see in your budget on page 62, $62,000 funded for the stormwater maintenance line item. There's about an additional $25,000 left to get to the 137 transfer into the general fund. We were at 100,000 in the original budget. We moved that to about 137. So the additional funds basically paid for the cost of bringing all the employees that were at the underneath the salary survey for the minimum pay levels. There were about 7 or 8 employees. I think it represented close to $10,000. We're able to finally bring those employees up to the minimum. This is not with the stormwater funds. This is with the additional funds within the budget. So we were able to do that, and then the additional funds, there was about another $20,000 in excess. We did go back into some of our expenses, our electricity, and give us a little buffer there because it does depend on, the temperature outside and those types of things. So we really took, if you look at the electricity line item on the expense side and the general governmental services fund, we bumped that up by $10,000 because really at the beginning we were trying to balance the budget during your first proposal and trying to get those projections as close as possible. But we always like to be conservative on those general expenditures. There was also several changes of about $2,000 or $3,000 in the fire department budget, because that was the department that, as we went through, he was going to try to keep the same, but there was a couple items that he needed, such as refrigerators, that he wasn't able to purchase this year. So we went ahead and added a couple $1,000s to the operating expenses there, still under the previous year's operating budgets. As you remember, this year we cut everybody's expenses by 10%. So we tried to come in and give everybody at least back to where we were at last year. Some departments are still a little less. In Public Works, we also increased some of the sidewalk funding, some things that we reduced mid-year last year that we were able to add back in the budget this year because, they're important items, and Alan will tell you the sidewalks are a big part of the satellite beach, and also a lot of the sidewalks do need some maintenance. So those were really the only changes in the budget from your proposed budget from the budget work session. We had a pretty extensive PowerPoint presentation at the budget work session, and so now the budget is balanced at, let me get the total here. The proposed 14-15 budget is balanced at $12,682,602. And then you have all your other funds, stormwater, community redevelopment agency, nothing has changed there in that fund. So, pretty basic, not many changes. We still, as far as the contents of the budget, for the budget award, we're going to submit that again this year. Councilmember Gott is looking over some of the, any of the minor changes maybe in the language and things of that nature. So we'll have a final budget in its final format at our next meeting. And the millage rate continues to be at 8.3206.
Thank you. Questions from council on proposed budget?
I have a couple questions. The stormwater fee increase went from 65 to 104, and I know I missed a couple meetings because of work. The last discussion, I remember we were going to send out a special edition of the Beachcaster. What happened with that, and when did
We're
it?
working on that. That's supposed to go out later this month.
Okay, because I do really have a problem with raising any tax, whether it be Avalon or non-Avalon, without notifying the residents, so. And when did it jump? It was supposed to be on a step level from 65 to 85 to 104. When did it jump from 65 right to
The
the
August
104?
20th meeting, we had some pipe issues throughout the city that we wanted to fix, and we needed those funds to do that.
Okay.
Any further discussion from council on the budget? At this time, on Part A of item number 6, public hearing proposal for our budget, the floor is open for a public comment on the FY 2014-2015 budget.
Jerry Hudson, resident of Satellite Beach. Got the packet from the county appraiser's office, saying proposed taxes and everything like that. Quite a few, and I don't remember the numbers, but more than half of all the line items that are on the thing, they reduce taxes. The county's general fund, general operating expenses, they cut taxes. They cut their millage rate. Okay, sorry. All those things I was talking about millage rate, not taxes. Satellite Beach stays the same.
Thank you. Yes, we did. And we have a lot of upkeep, I believe, in our city that is crucial, especially the stormwater. With Alan's report the last time, I think really showed us, if you lived in our city 30 years ago and you saw the stormwater issues that we had with people's houses flooding and so forth. And as we get older, we have to maintain what we build. And I hope we're a lot more prudent, and I think we are, but definitely stormwater and a lot of this stuff is critically important. We cannot afford a catastrophe in the stormwater. And so we keep it the same, and we've got to be smart about how we manage our budget. We have things that need to be done that haven't been done in quite some time. So, public comment is still open. Hearing none, bring it back to council.
I have one additional question. I requested there are 9 employees that are going to get raises. I brought this up at the last meeting because of the survey that are on the lower end of the echelon, and just some quick math, it comes out to be about $19,000 for the 9.
No, the total's at the bottom.
Yeah, but is that for all the employees?
That's for all, yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
$10,000?
Yes, ma'am.
The last meeting, there was discussion about taking money out of reserves to pay future incurred legal fees. Where's the money going to come from? The 10,000?
Being that the general fund didn't have to absorb the cost of the stormwater because of the increase in the fees, the general fund now had a little bit money there to bring those employees up to the minimum.
Thanks.
Further questions from the council? Hearing none. Thank you, Andy, very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Moving on to Part B, ordinance number 1095. Jim?
Ordinance number 1095, an ordinance of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes by establishing an operating millage rate of 8.3206 mils for FY 2014-2015, providing an effective date. The first reading of ordinance number 1095.
Motion to approve 1095 on first reading.
I have a motion by Councilman Breimer, second by Councilman Montanaro, to approve ordinance number 1065 on first reading.
1095.
Excuse me, 1095 on first reading. Discussion from council.
Just one comment. It's not that I have a problem with the budget, but I do have a problem with the stormwater utility increase, and so I'm not going to support it.
Okay.
From 65 to 104.
Thank you. And we are looking at the revised line?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Which is just repositioning. Okay, at this time, I'll open it up for a public comment on ordinance number 1095. Hearing none, bring it back to council. I have a motion. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Lenore?
No.
Vice Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries 4-1. Thank you. Moving on to item C of 6, ordinance number 1096. Jim?
Ordinance number 1096, an ordinance of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, adopting FY 2014-2015 budget, providing an effective date. It's the first reading of ordinance number 1096.
Motion to approve ordinance number 1096.
Second. Motion by Councilman Montanaro, second by Councilman Breimer. This time for discussion from council. Any discussion? Hearing none, open up for public comment on ordinance number 1096. Hearing none, back to council. Hearing no further, Courtney? Lenore, excuse me.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Dodd?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. To staff, everyone, thank you very much. Your hard work, very easy to read this year. I appreciate it.
Good luck on the budget award, too.
Yes, thank you. This time I'll close the public hearing and back to the city council meeting, regular meeting. On agenda item number 7, discuss take action on amendments to the Florida Department of Transportation Traffic Signal Maintenance and Compensation Agreement.
It's easy for you to say, right? Good evening. On June 4th, we had this discussion relative to the signal maintenance agreement that we have with the Florida Department of Transportation to take care of the signals on the state roads within the city. Apparently, not from us, but from some other entities throughout the state, there were some language issues and some equipment issues that the state had installed in some of the cities that had problems, and the state, through the agreement, was basically trying to hand those problems off to the cities and also make them responsible for the cost of them. So they went back, reworked it, relooked at it, and changed some of the language in the agreement. Attorney Beadle and I have discussed the language, and he has no problem with it. I don't see any problem with it, considering that the county maintains our signals and done a great job and don't plan to change the way they do things. So I don't see a problem with it. And this agreement is only good for this next year. They're going to come back with another agreement in 16 or 15-16 that will probably be basically the same language, but will increase the fees that they pay us, so that we'll get a little bit more for taking care of their stuff. So,
Thank you very much. Questions from council?
We have an amended agreement, and the last page of the new agreement lists what those changes for Amendment 1 will be. If you look at the original agreement on page 5 of 6, it's called Exhibit A. And if you go to page 5 of 6 on this amended agreement, that page is very different from what you have in the original agreement. And in the original agreement, you also have a page 6, which is another table, and that's totally missing from the new amended agreement.
Okay, well, the agreement that was sent to me had this page 6 of 6 should be the same as what it was in the first agreement.
That one is.
Okay. The Exhibit A is what they pay us, which is, they didn't update this. We were supposed to use the old Exhibit A. So I don't know, it should have been included in this package, okay, but it apparently was not, so, I'll have to go back and check the,
Wasn't that in the cover letter?
what's that?
Wasn't the amount that they were going to do in a cover letter?
Talk into that microphone.
Wasn't the amount they were going to do in the cover letter?
The amount that they were going to do wasn't, I don't think was in the new agreement because it was a detachment. So we were supposed to attach that to the new agreement. The only thing that changed was those paragraphs on those 2
I
pages.
see. No,
But
I
the
understand.
dollar change, the dollars,
No, the dollar amount
Same
didn't
dollar
change at all.
amount, right?
No, and I'm not, and it's my fault for not looking, but, that attachment should have been included in this packet, and it wasn't, so that would fall in my
Then
lap.
council could approve the new agreement with the previous agreement's Exhibit A.
Can we do that? Can we put that
And what
Yeah.
is this thing over here?
What is what thing?
on one
the
of
one
our...
that's on page 101 there.
That's the
That's the exhibit.
that's the Exhibit A. It
This is
should have
your Exhibit
been,
A, and this is an extra page, and I don't know what this is.
I don't have the same packet you do, so.
Here.
Those are the same numbers that show the 12, the 12.3.
This is Exhibit A, but this is, I don't know why they were both included. It's the same thing.
So what are we working with?
Yes.
The amendment is just for these paragraphs.
Well, if you,
It is. You could approve,
So basically, all we're doing is we're approving these additional paragraphs that are here. We're using the same tables. The dollar amounts have not changed.
No, nothing's
All we're
changed
doing
except
is
for those
approving this
paragraphs.
language.
yeah.
it,
So we're-
Well,
in the last page of this agenda item is the purpose and the amendments, and then there's an executed page. So this is what you need to approve.
This is what the agreement's going to look like.
This is what?
This is what the agreement's going to look like next year.
Mm-mm.
The 8/14, they've got a different date on them. That has 8/14. We're not actually approving the 8/14 amendment. We're just, this is 4/14. That's the existing agreement is 4/14.
What's the 8/14?
see, this is the original. And then this is the amendment. Okay.
It's the only thing that we're approving,
Yeah,
from
so,
what I understand from speaking to Alan earlier, is just this up at the top where it says 750-210-22A. That just means that it's Amendment 1.
Yet you give us a form here that is blank, and you don't include this filled-in form from the original agreement, which leaves me wondering, what are we voting on?
Yes, it is confusing. What they wanted to provide was, we wanted to provide you with the original agreement, and then we wanted to provide an example of what the original agreement with the amendments would look like, so you could read that. But what you're actually approving is this last page here.
Because this information that would go here is the same
Is the
information
same as
that's
the
on
other
that other
information.
table.
Correct, that's not
It's just, this
changing.
is a new table that's going to be used going forward.
So we apologize for the confusion, that, it is very
Is
confusing.
that correct?
The problem came when I sent the information to Mr. Beadle to look at it, and I sent him the revised agreement and the amendment. So when he looked at the revised agreement, it said the same thing that the amendment said. So rather than confusing everybody and going, well, wait a minute, it already says that, I included the original agreement, which further, I guess, confused the issue.
Let me try a motion.
Can I ask one more question? So are we approving 750-010-22A?
Correct.
That's all we're doing
Page
here?
1 of 1, that's all you're doing.
Okay.
That's the form, yes.
Well,
Because the form that has 414 on it at the top is the one that you've already approved. The one that has 814 on it is basically the form that's going to go, that's the form that we will use next year, unless it's changed between now and then.
let me try a motion, see if I can get us out of this. I move that we approve the traffic signal maintenance and compensation agreement with FDOT, Amendment 1, which will include Exhibit A, both pages of Exhibit A from the original agreement. That's my motion.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Gott. Do I have a second?
Second.
And you're including this page with the, you're including.
I have a second by Councilman
Right.
Breimer. Okay, further discussion from council. Hearing none, open it up for public comment. Hearing none, back to council. Jim, does that cover us?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
Okay. Lenore, please poll the council.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, Alan, appreciate it. Moving on to agenda item 8, discuss, take action on ordinance number 1097. Jim?
Ordinance number 1097, an ordinance of the City of Satellite Beach, Brevard County, Florida, amending ordinance number 836 of the City of Satellite Beach by updating the City of Satellite Beach Community Redevelopment Plan, providing for conflicts, providing severability.
This one?
No,
He-
I'm dealing with it differently.
Okay.
And providing effective dates. It's the first reading of ordinance number 1097.
Thank you.
And section 2 is going to be changed to read, and I will give this to Lenore. Ordinance number 836 of the City of Satellite Beach is amended by replacing Exhibit A to said ordinance, paren, City of Satellite Beach Community Redevelopment Plan 2002, close paren, in its entirety with Exhibit A attached to this ordinance, paren, City of Satellite Beach Community Redevelopment Plan 2014, close paren, period. The remaining provisions of ordinance number 836 as amended prior to this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. And that's what section 2 will read. It's basically rewording what's there, but that's,
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1097 on first reading as amended.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Montanaro. Do I have a second? Okay, thank you. A second by Vice Mayor Gott. Discussion from council.
Yeah, for the same reasons, I think, again, it just kind of took the old plan and inserted it into a 30-page document in lieu of a comprehensive plan that was vetted through the community, so I'm not going to support it.
Okay, thank you. At this time, open up for public comment, on agenda item 8. Hearing none, back to council. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
No.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Patino?
Yes, motion carries. Thank you, staff. Moving on to agenda item 9, agenda for proposed special meeting September 17th, 2014 at 6:45. Be a public hearing at that time to take action on the Florida Recreation Development Assistance Program grant for sports field lighting.
Yeah, that grant program requires a meeting where that consists only of the public hearing on this grant application, so that's why we have to do it this way.
Remember, at 6:45. Thank you. Also, in our packet is for the agendas for the proposed regular council meeting at 7 p.m. So if there's any additions to that, please get with Courtney on adding to that agenda.
And I will be absent of that meeting.
Thank you. Any further discussion on agenda item 9 for any additional items? Okay, hearing none, move on to agenda item 10, appointments to boards. Okay, we have some appointments and also reappointments here. So,
Let's start with the reappointment.
we'll start with the first one.
All right, I'll make a motion to change the appointment of James Strayer from a regular member to an alternate member with a term ending 2/6/15
The Recreation Board.
on the Recreation Board, I'm sorry.
I have a motion by Councilman Montanaro. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Gott. Discussion by council. Hearing none, Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Tina?
Yes, motion carries. Moving on to second part of it.
I'll make a motion to appoint Martha Kirby and Mike Roses to the Code Enforcement Board with appointment ending 9/3/17.
Okay, I have a motion by Councilman Montanaro, second by Councilman Breimer. Do we want to do these separate? Or is it okay with everybody to do them together?
Yeah, together is fine.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Lenore?
I'm sorry, Councilman Montanaro motion, who's second?
Me, I did.
Breimer. Thank you.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Tina?
Yes. Okay, thank you. And
I'll make a motion to appoint Bill Mayer to the Police Officer and Firefighter Retirement Board of Trustees as a ministerial appointment with the term ending 7/24/15.
okay, I have a motion by Councilman Montanaro.
Second.
I have a second by Vice Mayor Gott. Discussion from council? Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Tina?
Yes, motion carries. Next?
I'll make a motion to appoint Tom Romanowski to the Planning and Zoning Advisory Board, reappointing him to a term ending 10/5/17.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Montanaro, second by Vice Mayor Gott. Discussion? Hearing none. Lenore?
Councilman Breimer?
Yes.
Councilman Dean?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gott?
Yes.
Councilman Montanaro?
Yes.
Mayor Tina?
Yes, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, I would make one comment. We should have the attendance here on the Planning and Zoning Advisory Board, and all 5 of those members have excellent attendance, and this is what we're looking for.
Yeah, great. Thank you for pointing that out. The next one is Mike Badarak, CPA. Mike is out of the country and will be for the near future. So he has asked to be taken off that board because he will not be available. Okay. And moving on to the next one, we have one that resigned, so
That's all we need to do.
that's all we have.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion on appointments to boards or boards in general? Okay. Hearing any further business for council? Hearing none, this meeting's adjourned.
Adoption of minutes.
Oh,
We don't have any minutes.
We have no minutes?
no, sorry, it's not in here.
Okay.
Thought I covered them all.
Okay.
Be careful.
Got me. Got me.
Any further business? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned.
Congratulations.